Well, hold on. Stop streaming. Okay. Yep, I think we're back now.
Yeah, we're back.
Hello. I don't know what happened.
We just talked about P for like 40 minutes.
It's probably for the best.
It is. We did also talk about the book a lot, but we talked about P more, I think.
Yeah, we did talk about P a lot. Now they don't know how to save themselves from a stingray.
You'll never know.
That knowledge should be closely guarded.
Agree. Hard agree on that one. Don't tell anyone. Secret.
Oh, Jingle Man.
Oh, no other goddess had those tilted eyes.
Asiatic.
Is that what that means?
In the time period, I guess this is more the 90s. I always assumed.
What else would
But
a
are
tilted
they?
eye be?
I don't think Asian eyes are necessarily.
What if they're tilted? What if they're like just always looking up?
Yeah. I don't think they're just thinner, but I don't think they're necessarily. I think that's like a personal. Different people of many, could have eyes tilted in either direction or straight.
Yeah, so the reason I assume that is because I've read so many like fantasy books and adventure books from the 60s,
The 60s
where
yeah.
this is just how we say that this person
That makes
looks
sense.
Asian.
Right.
But it could just
talk
mean
about
that.
slanted eyes, almond-shaped
Right.
eyes,
Like in old racist cartoons.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
I
Their
can see
eyes
that,
look like
but
this.
I feel like it could just mean that she looks different than the other gods, or if nobody else has them, or no, because she is what's his name's daughter.
Yeah.
Presumably she's the same. What if she has a different dad?
Ooh. Cool.
And what if it's Jonas? Not Jonas, but someone from. Now I'm just being silly.
The soon.
Yeah.
Going buck wild.
But I'm just being silly there. But what if
What is it
What if
called?
she has
Kim
a-
Lee
Kim-
Soong or something?
something like that? But,
Oh yeah.
But what if she has a different dad? I mean, it won't really change anything
Phelps?
for us. Yeah.
That's yeah.
Like
That's
her dad's
sepia.
not Typhon.
Yeah. Typhon. Yeah. I forgot. his name.
He's a stepdad.
That's just exciting. Anyway,
Too
it could
bad
just
stepdad.
it could just be setting her apart because it seems like no, she isn't different because like Hyrax and Tartaros are weird too. But she is the goddess of being weird. Well, so's Molbe. They're
Yeah.
all weird.
Yeah.
They're all
Gods are
weird.
pretty.
Yeah.
Gods are weird.
The gods must be crazy.
The gods must
The guys must be crazy too.
So yeah, so it could but what Mark was saying, it could just mean that she's looking in a direction.
She's looking at an erection.
Looking in a direction.
Sorry, we lost all of the blue humor.
Or she's
So I had
sassy.
to
Or
bring some
she's
of it back.
sassy and she's just squinting at you.
Or she's rolling her eyes.
Yeah, she's just
she's just like,
she's really skeptical of everything.
Or she looks Asian, I don't know.
Good look Asian.
She could look
And
Asian.
all the time I'm reading, anytime I'm reading a theory about the Greek gods coming from Asia for some reason, that really excites me. So that's also probably part of why I'm like, oh, of course it's because she's from Asia Minor.
I did notice that was interesting. He said that though.
Maybe it has something to do with like not seeing things straight on. Like there's a neat quote of, as Usyk said, one saw the pool reflected in the mirror and her mirror reflected in the pool. And that goes along with the spy thing, is that there's like, you don't just see the two objects, you also go one layer inside them and you see like the mirror of the pool and the pool of the mirror. Like being a spy requires that kind of stuff. And that sort of, and then so maybe the tilted eyes are kind of like eyes that are not looking straight on at things. They're like looking around a corner at something.
Yeah. I like that.
But it's very like this is almost like an info dump, this chapter, with like how much we get raw info about the gods. Like Akka's so in depth into just explicit about Tartaros, and then we get Thalxipia in this thing of love was the greatest of enchantments, this big.
Oh yeah, and the
Well,
outside.
the outside.
Yeah, and then, we
Shows
get
up.
the outsider appearing.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
interesting.
And he's dancing. He's a
Yeah,
dancing man
yeah.
on a toy,
Yeah.
and
Like
it's
Krishna.
yeah, it's the outsider's been like a mysterious bunch of stars in a cloak. I feel like, and now he's like,
It's got a straw boat.
yeah, it's kind of how I feel like he's brought out here.
Yeah, maybe he's like the Music Man.
Well, that's a scam.
There's an error.
Oh, what's going on?
Oh, it's just not smooth.
It's fine.
That's weird. I don't know why it's being grumpy. Yeah, I'm on the right Wi-Fi, right? Funny Bone Station.
And I just upgraded my modem.
Oh, we're gonna do them all again anyway.
Yeah, that's right. So,
Well, we're still on, it says.
yeah, I don't know. It just said that it won't be smooth. So
Wow, the last one had 12 views. That's weird.
people get interested in the first
Before we start talking about the
They're
book.
like, oh, what's this live stream with people that maybe I know or don't know? And they look at it and like, oh, whatever. But they'll all listen to round 2
They'll be back.
when we each have our own microphone.
10 years from now.
10 years from now.
Yeah, we're never gonna finish this book. I feel like I've been reading this book my whole life. This.
Yeah, this volume. Yeah,
Yeah.
this has been a really
it's
long
creeping.
one.
It's crazy to think back to the beginning of this volume. It's like, whoa, wait, that was in the same book when Remora and Quetzal are like talking. Like, what? I feel like I've been reading this for like 5 years. What?
We spent like 2 months talking about chapter
Yeah, there were
4 or
some of
something.
these
And then
chapters.
we had a long.
We've
at
also had a
least
lot of
one-
breaks. It's
Yeah,
summertime.
a lot of vacation.
Summertime.
A lot of vacation
Yeah.
stuff. So
We're back on track.
I
Yeah,
also
well,
think that just this part of the solar cycle goes the slowest.
well, also for
I
a while,
always get bogged down in the third book.
also for a while during like lockdown time, we were meeting every week.
Yeah.
So
True,
like
we're-
we
we
ripped through
we-
Earth
We definitely would.
because
True, yeah.
that was when we were just like meeting every week.
Yeah.
Like
we
the
could do
like our
multiple chapters.
true nerd selves before we had to get beaten back into societal submission.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
So fucked.
I felt a lot of resonance with our current situation. All of this going on when it talks about how if Echidna and her children succeeded in killing Kypris, Thalcipia would doubtless become the goddess of love in a century or less, said the outsider.
Yeah.
I feel like that sounds a lot like what's happening to us now, where like we had a bunch of forms that seemed really stable and that like defined certain personalities in our culture, and now they're like some of them have killed or cannibalized those forms and like taken the role. Like I guess this is kind of like a level 1 example, but like activism, like the archetypal activists like 30 or 40 years ago and the activists of today have like very little in common. And I feel like it's a lot like what happened. It's almost like the kind of similar personalities thing here, where like Kypris is a kind of love that is very different than Thalcipia's tricky love.
Yeah, it would change love. It
Yeah.
would turn love into more like a scary game. I mean, it is a scary game, but
Now that you have dating apps.
we're fucked up. Because we're fucked up.
Yeah.
And we don't have the, like, even Jesus could originally be considered like someone who would like just like universal love and just be like, just love
Yeah.
people, it's cool.
Well,
Which is more kind of what Kypris's deal seems to be. It's just like love. It's just there. It's love.
As I am claiming Kypris even now, because love always proceeds from me. Real love, true love, first romance.
Yeah.
And then, but he also, before that, he says, if they do kill Kypris and Thalcipia becomes the goddess of love in 100 years, I would claim her in that case long before the end. Because that his love can assume anything that's going on with people.
Interesting to use the phrase long before the end.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what end would he be talking about?
That's part of the mystical Jesus, right? Is that like everything is cycles, but Jesus is like the one thing in the timeline that's not a new version of an old thing, right? That's like part of the Catholic mysticism is like everything.
That's what the Catholics say. Yes.
Right. Which includes Gene, like, or that is like an influence on him. The idea that like time is people were just kind of doing the same, like versions of these old things, and then God said, "All right, here's an event that is like not replicated, not a thing from before." So Jesus can have an end because he's got a trajectory.
Yeah.
He's not trapped in a cycle.
No?
But like you're talking about how Silk doesn't know, it's not for him to know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing for the Catholic mystic. It's like, what does that mean? We can't say what that means.
Yeah.
We can't know what it is to have like a beginning and an end, because we're not outside of it. We're not outside. We're inside. I'm not I feel like I'm at some point I knew a better way to express this, but it's like I guess
I think you're expressing it just fine. I'm just offended by the idea that Jesus is unique, I guess.
Yeah, but that's I feel
Which
like,
is not a problem with your argument.
right. But I feel like I can see it visually. It's like the timeline is like this undifferentiated kind of like swirling around, and then Jesus is like this arrow that comes in, and it's like now there's a point, and everything can be judged either before or after this.
Well, that's definitely how society treats it, like BC.
Yeah.
The plays during the Middle Ages, like all the guilds would have a section of the Bible, and the whole town would walk through town looking at each guild's presentation of the entirety of the Bible, which was all of history.
Oh.
Like they.
Is that like the Passion Play?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was all just about like, here's the whole history of the world. Jesus is in the middle of it. Armageddon's at the end, and they would do the whole thing.
And Jung's idea about the Bible too was that that it's like a narrative with a beginning, middle, and end, where the beginning God is one way when he's Yahweh and he's like treating people poorly, and then Job happens, and Job teaches God that he's got to be different about. Job teaches God something about people, so God's like, I've got to change my ways. So he sends his son to die and be like, I'm going to be a new God now. And then after that, like, God is changed by his encounter with Job, and then changes himself with Jesus.
I know so many people who would find that such a heretical reading of
Well,
God changes his ways.
Well, that's because Jung was coming at it like late in the game.
Yeah.
He didn't believe in religion, and then discovered it and was like, "Holy shit!" He's like reading the Bible as a story and not as like revealed word.
Yeah.
But then he ends up believing that it is the revealed word because he likes that story so much.
Yeah.
Jung like popularized the Job book in particular, right?
Yeah.
Like now people consider the Book of Job to be like good literature.
Yeah.
Like a
It's a very interesting book.
good read.
The
Not too
Bible.
long.
Yeah, I think when you're a little kid at Bible camp, that's the one where they can really hook you in because they're like, it's like counterintuitive, and so you got to like start asking questions about God, and then they got you.
Right. Yeah. Very clever.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it was all part of God's plan.
And the imagery, like he's sitting on a pile of shit with legions all over him. Like,
Yeah.
come on, what's going on in this book? Like,
Yeah.
all the boring stuff about the Maccabees and shit. You're like a little kid, like But then when the guy
Job is
does everything right, and
it's a very
leprosy.
personal story for the Old Testament. I feel like so much of the Old Testament is sort of like larger movements of things. With exceptions, they're definitely like prophets and
slows down.
Or even stuff like
Yeah.
Esther and Ruth. It's like a story about a person, but the thing that happens to their people.
but Job is like that's like the most direct like connection with God that's happening.
And
up until maybe like Psalms
and Lucifer is like got this biggest role.
Yeah, he and God are best friends.
Yeah.
In the Book of Job?
Yeah, he's the one that's like
the whole thing is he's like I bet you this guy isn't gonna believe in you if his life sucks.
Oh, okay.
God's like, you're on.
Yeah. I'm gonna make his life suck so bad and he still is gonna love me. Fuck you, Satan.
Doesn't God say
Couple
do
bros.
yeah.
Does God
Give
send
it to the
the
bar.
tribulations down to Job, or does God say go for it and then the devil sends them? Which
I don't know.
I think it might be that God
I think that's.
withdraws
I
his
think that's
protection.
right. I think that's right.
God's like, fine, do whatever you want to him, and the devil's like, ha ha ha, dead kids, dead cows, like everyone hates you.
Oh, I always thought it was God.
I
Yeah,
think
I
it's
wanna find
that
out.
God
But
lets
I
the
also
devil do it.
don't know. I haven't thought about this.
I
since
mean, God
middle
is
school.
everything. It's all God.
True. Very true.
Now, as God, having asked Satan for his opinion of Job's piety, decides to take away Job's wealth, family, and material comforts,
Okay.
following
Yeah.
Satan's accusation that if Job were rendered penniless and without his family, he would turn away from God. So yeah, it is God that is doing it.
That's even wilder because
Yeah,
it's
But-
like
it is.
But I mean,
God don't give a fuck.
But honestly,
I mean,
like
why
that's
would God
whether or not you're attributing it to Satan in at least a traditional iteration of Christianity, like the devil is allowed to exist. Like, so it's still a problem. There's still a problem of like whether the devil is doing it or God is doing it. Like, God is the omnipotent being who is allowing Satan and I guess theoretically preordaining whatever Satan does. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, God requires Satan too. Like the reading of Job that I like is the one that's pointing out that like God doesn't exist if your faith in God isn't tested. So Satan and evil is necessary because Al Shaitan is the adversary. He's the devil's advocate. That's like, maybe you're better than God. Maybe God doesn't exist. Maybe like just always trying to pick away at God. And God's ability to survive that is what God is. So if there is no testing, there is no God.
Seems like a weak ass God to me.
It's sort of like with the government. Like, you're not the government if you can't and don't break the law. Like a government that never
If there
breaks
is no
the
law
laws-
breaking.
Yeah, if the government never breaks the law, then they're not in charge. It is the ability to break the law and not have anything happen to you that makes you the top of the food
Oh
chain.
yeah. All right.
Okay. I didn't understand it now I do.
Which is why they have to do everything they can to barbecue Trump now. It's like he can't be allowed to break the law, even if the law is something they just made up 10 seconds ago.
I think
That's always suspended for presidents typically though.
Right.
But
but
he's
Everything
not-
presidents do
he's
is
not
illegal.
allowed to be a president anymore. Like, they gotta prove
Yeah.
that he's not part of the club
Yeah.
by making him.
They're revoking.
I don't
his,
think they just
I
made
think
up
it's
a
a little-
rule
I
about
think-
not taking nuclear
Yeah.
launch codes to your golf
He
club.
made up the rule.
Trump did? Oh yeah, well there's
He
like-
went in and beefed up all the you can't take secret documents stuff because of
Right.
Hillary Clinton's email servers, and now that's biting him in the ass.
But also, it doesn't make any sense. Like, those codes were clearly changed. They're changed probably every couple months. Like,
They should be.
the idea
But it's not a practical concern, problem.
And is it
No,
codes?
it's a Rosenberg situation.
Also, I
a
don't think that
rule.
I don't think the nuclear thing is even proven. I think it's just
Speculation of why
this-
they're doing it.
yeah. At this
Yeah.
point, still.
It's so
we don't know if they're
bizarre.
codes. It could be like locations of nukes.
Well, I think there's some.
or nothing. It
I
could
think
be none
there's
of
some
those
concern
things.
that you might have like given information to like the Saudis
Well,
or
that's
something.
that's part.
So-
That-
Well,
but
but
yeah,
that's still part of the theory. That's not even
Right, yeah,
real.
yeah.
But it's so stupid.
Necessarily
Like,
real.
a couple weeks ago, there were people that were like, we should have a diplomatic solution to the war with Ukraine because Russia has nukes, and the government and like all the Czechies are like, what? Why are you afraid of nuclear war? No, we got to win against Russia. Shut up with this nuclear bomb stuff. And now it's like, there's papers in Trump's house. We should be afraid that nuclear shit is going to go down.
Right.
It's like, which of those things is actually going
Right.
to cause nuclear war?
Well, I don't think it's because they're actually worried about. I think they're just like they don't want the Saudis to have it, or they, you know
Well,
what I mean.
Like,
What
like
was-
whether or not the codes were active, if a former president gave that information, like useful or not, to somebody else, it's still treason.
It's but like
So-
treason is like, look at all the people that have been like, all of the people that have been charged with treason are good guys. It's like Snowden, Assange, Hale.
Yeah.
I mean, even I don't.
I push back gently on Assange being a good guy.
He is, though.
Assange.
He's
pretty
been
good.
smeared because of what he did was
There's
good.
that like child rape in Ecuador.
Look,
No.
it doesn't matter about. It doesn't matter
That
about.
has nothing
It,
to do
it
with
doesn't matter
That's
about.
specious.
I mean, I think the issue is not whether he's it doesn't matter if he's a good guy or not. It's whether the reason that it's like whether the treason thing is the act was like
Yeah.
Yeah.
beneficial or not. And I think it was like a beneficial act. I don't.
Oh yeah, Assange
Yeah,
did a good
I
thing.
don't.
Yeah,
Not a
Yes,
good guy.
no.
Yes.
I think I'm just saying. I think you have to separate that.
Yeah.
If
Certainly.
all he'd
It's not
ever
about
done,
being a good guy.
No,
It's
yeah,
about,
I'm not anti WikiLeaks, but like,
No, I know. I'm just trying to.
I like
parse it. I'm
WikiLeaks
trying
way
to
more than I
parse
like
it.
Julian Assange.
yeah, there you go.
but even going back to like the Rosenbergs was an insane fucking thing, and there people are explicitly invoking it now. Like good guys are saying like, "Yep, we're gonna fry this dude like we did those old Jews that gave the fucking Russians the Jello signals."
No, yeah, absolutely.
It's like
the whole thing is garbage.
it's
just
fucking bonkers.
weird power plays and media and.
And I guess it goes right back to this like Phelpsy Pia killing Kuipers and replacing as love. Like I feel like that's exactly what's happening here. It's like the people who for most of my life were like, you don't fucking fry people for treason. It's like Eugene Debs or like, you know, the people you kill for treason are people that are trying to make the country, like they're trying to fundamentally change the government for
Yes.
the better.
Yes.
But I mean the things that like the type
Who are
of
you
people.
hearing calling for the death of Trump? Like you're literally hearing that?
Yeah, Robert Reich.
I don't know.
Like people like
Oh,
Clinton
yeah.
staffers.
Yes.
Well,
right.
Oh yeah, but
Political.
okay.
they were never anti-death penalty anyway.
Yeah, but it's.
So-
I mean, but there's like traditionally the left is
Right.
the people that.
Yeah,
are,
but there's the left, and then there's liberals, which are not left. They're centrist
Right,
at
but-
best, but really
but
center
those
right.
people would not have been pro burning for treason like 20 years ago. You know, like
I don't know.
those exact people would not have been.
I'm
I
not
think-
sure about that.
I think they would have been absolutely, especially if it's politically expedient.
I don't know. I guess I can't think of an example when there was a treason that liberals were like death penalty.
I don't know. I don't know that the death penalty is the popular go-to in this.
Yeah.
Most of what
I
I've
don't
seen.
think anybody is seriously considering.
Yeah, most of what I've seen has been like Trump is going to die in prison kind of stuff. But
The narrative of he took nuclear secrets and gave them to a foreign country is like that's the Rosenberg story. It's a story that is like he did the ultimate crime against the country, and so any punishment is warranted.
Right.
I mean, we'll see.
Like
It's the same kind of
mean,
motivation
it's not
as
gonna
what you're
happen.
talking
No.
about earlier,
Yeah.
like
I mean,
after Snowden or
'cause-
something. It's like the same forces that are like
It's a-
look for problems and then blow them up and then try to apply them somewhat, like with intention, right? Like the things that Trump is being targeted for. I mean, presidents have probably done throughout history, right?
Well, and you can't prosecute
Same stuff.
presidents because gives us a bad precedent.
Mm-hmm. I bet Biden can pardon him, right?
yeah, he could.
What if Biden pardons him? That's gonna be insane.
That would
Probably will.
that would be insane.
That would be
It
the
would
most
be.
popular thing Biden did,
Probably.
except for like 10 people in DC.
I mean, it's not a high bar.
No,
Right.
exactly. But like, it would please more Americans than anything else he did.
Yeah,
Um,
Mr. 40%.
Yeah. You don't have to think about me.
Freddie,
You
let me
won't
touch
even
his
know I'm
body.
here.
Nothing will fundamentally change.
Nothing. I won't do anything.
Yeah, he told everybody.
Things will just get a little bit worse.
There's that cool thing where somebody went through all of the records and was like, he said at one of the debates the first thing he would do would be like open up the public option debate again, and since he got elected, he's never spoken about healthcare once.
Yeah.
Which is insane because we've been in
Not a plague.
a pandemic the whole time.
And like medical debt is exponentially worse than the bad situation it was already in.
It blows my mind that the Democrats were like, let's put a guy in office who's going to make the last guy who is like nearly universally seen as the worst president we've ever had look not that bad. It's like,
well,
the
Democrats love to lose. They didn't.
they're
don't want
addicted
to win.
to it.
Yeah.
There's
They
value in
didn't
being,
want Biden to win. That's
oppressed
why
and
they
the
fucking
underdog.
ran Biden.
Yeah.
That's why they ran Biden.
We just need 4 more years of Trump, and then we'll be able to do whatever we want. We'll just fundraise on this forever.
No,
Now
because
it's really
doing
just
whatever
a
we
fundraising
want
apparatus.
is not doing anything.
Yeah,
Whatever they want
100%.
is not doing anything.
Yeah, like they get paid to lose.
And now that the Democrats are like unequivocally the party of hedge funds and millionaires and giant corporations, like they need to be losing so that it's like if they're not losing, then all of the working class people that have been tricked into being Republicans there's like too much coherency now.
Yeah.
You have a clear party of like the working man and a clear party of the hedge fund. So
Yeah.
if the Democrats are the underdog in the elections and are like getting beat by these like bigots, then you can keep.
But they're both the party of the hedge funds.
Yeah,
Well, the
but
Democrats
not.
are more so now. I mean, giant finance jumped the ship with Trump. Like throughout the Trump years, all those people migrated into the.
It is,
Democrats.
it is like, Republicans are turning more into like the alternative crypto thing now. You know, like
I mean, it's like Hobby Lobby and Papa John's are the big like
Yeah,
Republican
right.
corporations now, and like Goldman Sachs is for
right, yeah,
BlackRock,
yeah,
like all the
right, Google and
yeah, diversity, environment,
yeah,
inclusion, or I forget what the ESG and DEI, all the big companies have to do. That's all like a Democrat religion.
It is interesting.
It's like Thelxie eating Kypris, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm the goddess of love now. If you want to love, you gotta do the tricky way.
Interesting.
If you want to love, you got to do the tricky way.
Go on
You heard it
Tinder.
here, folks.
Go on Tinder and lie to people.
Tricky.
It's the only way. Yeah.
And then, like, so is Bumble, like, where dudes become awk because they can't talk? They're, like, in the darkness. So, like, you can go on Tinder if you're a dude and lie, or you can go into the darkness of Bumble and just be like, I hope somebody bumps into me.
Yeah, well, Ak also, that, this is kind of unrelated. Well, it's related. When, Chenille is all sweet on him when she's inhabited by Kypris, and then she sees him again and is like, who the fuck are you? And he's just like, okay, alright. Like, probably has had a lot of experience with people being insane and on drugs and stuff with him. He's just like, oh, okay. And then he's like very, like, I'm not gonna say like very respectful, but he's more like, when they're walking on the path and he like lets her run ahead, and then they kind of like have that conversation from like far away from each other. We're like, let's just meet each other again. Let's just start over again. I'm looking forward to meeting you, kind of thing. Like, I feel like that's, that's like the Bumble philosophy, right? Like, oh, you just let me know what you want.
Yeah.
I'll just be over here.
Awk knows not to look desperate or seem like he needs it, or else he's not going to get it. So.
Do you not know what Bumble is?
Oh, it's like Tinder, but the boys can't talk until spoken to.
The women have to
okay.
approach them first.
Okay.
Yeah, like
okay.
dudes can't DM girls. They just gotta put up an ad and then wait.
Oh, that's kind of cool. It seems like an extension of like some kind of Victorian parlor game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely seems way more civilized.
Yeah, makes sense.
I've never done it, but I feel like if I was a girl, that's the one I would want to do.
I took a brief tour of both Tinder and Bumble a couple years ago. And
A brief tour.
yeah,
I like that.
I dipped my toe, and But you would think that's the exact same people on both, and there's kind of is, but the people on Bumble, the guys on Bumble were like, seemed way more boring. But that probably for like, perfect for a lot of other women.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect for women that don't ever want to like have a dude roll up and be like, "Yo, what that mouth do?" You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they're presenting themselves as more boring because it seems like a more like
Yeah.
Victorian app.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
What will be the next? Like, Tinder
feel like
is
there's
basically
already-
like DoorDash
there's
for
Hinge.
tail. So like, what is the next?
So there's Hinge.
Okay, what is Hinge?
And Hinge, I think, is more. It's
These
supposedly.
names are fucking amazing.
It's it's marketed as like the way that they set it up is the approach is to make long-term couples and not hookups.
Whoa.
Though I don't think
Mhm.
I think probably on Bumble there's a bunch of people getting dick pics. Like I think
Yeah.
I don't know if these measures work. And then my friend who is really active on those guys doesn't live here, but she started offhand mentioning another one I had never heard of.
Whoa.
I think it starts with an F. But then there's also Raya,
Kind of fish.
which is the one
Raya?
for
Fuck
famous
check.
people,
Whoa.
like
yeah.
semi-famous people.
Yeah, I've heard about that. You guys.
Like influencers? What do you mean by semi-famous?
Like,
It's like a built-in NDA.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But no, like celebrities.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
then,
like you have to be like invited to.
Owen
Yeah.
Wilson.
Sure. Yeah.
Somebody someone like Owen Wilson could be
Or, like,
on that.
Taylor Swift.
But
or
then
something.
it goes. But then Beth Heckle was on it. I think someone told me
Yeah.
that. That's weird gossip that I just put on the internet, but no one's gonna watch this.
Is it for famous people to hook up with other famous people?
Yeah.
Or for
Yeah.
famous
You
people
can
to find
only be
regular
on it if
people?
you're famous.
Oh, okay.
Because
got
yeah,
it.
if
And
famous
probably the
people
way that
have
Wikipedia judges if you're allowed to have a page or something.
Okay.
famous people need to fuck, but they can't fuck civilians at a certain point. It's just
Civilians.
there's just only
No.
like cons.
I think
Right.
they
I
like
love
fucking
this- I love
civilians,
this
but they wouldn't
civilian.
want to be on like Tinder or something because
Mhm.
there was just too many.
Yeah, like a couple.
Matches.
Weren't there like stories of like women just like describing like sleeping with Leonardo DiCaprio or like pretty elaborate.
Yeah, I
like
think-
they had to like sign papers. And
Somebody
stuff,
wrote
like,
an article in a big magazine. I forget what it
Something
was,
like
like
that. I
Vogue or
remember
something. It was
reading
about
that.
Ashton Kutcher.
Oh, okay.
Was that like she had a one night stand with Ashton Kutcher and he like tried to get her to sign an NDA afterwards and she
Oh.
was like, wow,
Yeah,
well, too
that's
late.
And then she immediately went and wrote an
Yeah.
article about it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna make some fucking money.
You fucking deserve that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you don't want anyone to talk about this? That's interesting to me.
Bye. We'll
Maybe-
see.
Can't wait to tell people about that.
Yeah.
That's more interesting than
Makes
the hookup.
sense. You wanna, yeah.
But yeah, I think if they like see you if you like meet up on the town, you're out at like the club or
On the
whatever,
town.
you probably could hook up with a famous person.
Kevin Spacey, you could definitely get that.
Yeah, that's the well, some of us.
In
Can.
this
Yeah,
guy.
I think you gotta meet some particular criteria for that.
But that's the
You can
that's
meet
the
Kevin
impression
Spacey
I've
in
been
this
given.
town. Because
Like-
he lives here.
He lives here?
He lives here. Kevin Spacey
Oh yeah.
lives here.
Well,
What?
officially.
Yeah, he's lived here since he got like the Real canceled.
I didn't know he lived here still. I know
He bought
has
like a 16-bedroom house in the harbor
Yeah.
Oh.
on the water
Why? Ugh.
because he's
Fuck.
not going to get
It's
hassled
expensive.
here because people are going to be like, Kevin Spacey, I don't know.
And nobody
Yeah.
goes to the harbor, so.
Honestly,
He
yeah.
went to like when he first moved, he did like go to a few things and like the newspaper people were like, this guy's gross, but I don't think anyone in the space was like, get out of here.
Anything for free.
That's weird.
You want to go
But-
outside for me?
Yeah.
He can get out the outside door. You just have to let him out that one.
Don't eat any birds.
I can't wait till there's like
He's like, let me back in.
real data about what's going on because so many
I
of his
took a
accusers
harsh tone
died
with
that
him,
it's
and I
like
think he was confused about
there's
it.
a
Like,
story
what?
there, some kind of story.
Well, I went to the bathroom for a
Yeah,
second and Jordan
multiple-
yelled at somebody?
No, I took a harsh tone
Harsh
with
tone
Freddie.
with
I
that.
told him not to eat a bird.
Oh.
And he looked at me like, what?
It didn't sound like that harsh of a tone to me.
No, but it,
Harsh
more-
for Jordan.
harsh for me talking to a cat.
Yeah.
And more harsh than I I would talk to him usually, but he didn't look at me. He didn't stop and look at me like, what? What did I do?
Try
We're
to eat a bird.
friends.
What? We're friends.
This is what I do with my friends.
I'm allowed to eat birds. I'm a cat.
He doesn't fucking eat them.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That's
He
the
doesn't even
problem.
eat them. Quimby would eat them.
Maybe he wants to give it to you. Like it's like a cool
Yeah.
thing he wants to give
He
you.
probably-
I mean, it probably is that.
Yeah. It's gonna be like, I'm gonna get my friend such a sick present, dead bird.
Man,
Do you like it? You like it, right? It's a dead bird in your shoe. You like it?
like once in a
In your
while I get a
shoe.
mouse,
In your shoe.
and luckily Quimby eats it before I know about it. But one time, I came home and there was just an ass on the floor, just an ass sitting there
Mouse ass.
with the tail coming off it, and I was just like, "Come on, man!
Ugh.
Now I have to deal with this ass."
He's like, this is delicious. And he's like, oh wait, I want someone to be proud about it. I gotta save this ass for later.
Probably.
My dog caught a rabbit a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I read
Yeah,
a
we
poem
read a
about
poem.
it.
Yeah.
I had to. It was traumatic. I did write a poem about it.
I felt traumatized from reading that poem. It was a very effective poem.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, it's
I was-
intense.
yeah.
The rabbit's okay, everybody.
I
think.
I did not want to be reading it anymore, but I had to keep reading to find out what happened to the rabbit.
It's okay.
it's incredible that you saved that rabbit.
So then Ziphius shows up,
Didn't
and
have a
then Mucor shows up.
The Ziphius
The gang's
feels
all
really
here.
random. Like,
Yeah, why is Ziphius there?
Yeah, like,
Just to
why?
get him the
well,
new
because
gun?
Silk slipped
Silk
out.
ran
Yeah.
out.
And he knew where he was gonna go, and he was like, "Oh, I gotta go catch that boy," or you know, whatever.
Oh, I guess he gives him a cane here too.
Yeah,
He's
Because he
like
left his cane.
maybe
a
that's
cane and a gun.
yeah.
Well, and
yeah.
Ziphius wanted to be like in the mix too.
Yeah,
Silk
he
was
wa-
obviously
right.
like up to
He
something.
wanted to come along
Mhm.
earlier, and still
Isn't he
kept to
kind
be
of
like,
appointed
I
him
don't
himself as like bodyguard?
Ziphius thinks of himself,
Yeah.
as his protector now. It's kind of random. Also, it's weird that they let Ziphius in, but I realize Ermine's must just be like that. Like,
Yeah.
Ermine's
It's a
just like,
public establishment.
come on in, but it seems, yeah.
And Ziphius feels like he has to be Silk's bodyguard because Silk taught him something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why.
Some kind of
Scott.
sword fighter.
It was
thing.
the kind of thing where like
Yeah.
he bested Zephius, and he
Right.
was like, "Now I'm in your,
Yeah.
you know."
Yeah.
He was able to switch hands. He was able to,
samurai.
with no schooling, fight equally as well with both hands. I think that's particularly like
Impressed
Like,
him.
how did you do that?
Taught an old
Yeah.
dog a new trick.
Yeah.
Although, wouldn't that mean that
Silk
Silk
still
does not
beats-
need a
or-
bodyguard?
Ziphius beat Silk,
But he,
but
but in
not as good as he thought.
in
he was.
Zephius's mind though, Silk beat him.
Well, has one up on it because he taught him.
Yeah. But he says that.
And then Mucor. I like that. I know. Did Counselor Loris tell you about the man you're possessing? Remora. Did he ask you to find him? I know him, Silk. He talks to the man who's not there. Silk interprets that as being pos, but it's
I caught it. Yeah.
provocative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he's not there
Right.
because he's not human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I liked being able to catch that right away and being like, because in Humu don't have the thing inside that we have.
Soul.
Yeah, they don't have a soul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's another example of just like, just a confusing thing, a moment of confusion between characters, which happens all the time.
Somebody should make a show or movie, because they did zombies to death, and the way I think to like get that train rolling again is to rip off the idea of Humu and be like, it go from like zombies being just like animated husks to being like containers that can like give a little Alzebo, a little Humu style to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you get a new cool zombie
Mm-hmm.
property, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like these zombies aren't just like dumb; they're
Right.
stealing the
They still have.
yeah, they don't just emulate
that
like the
person.
biological functions; they emulate the other stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But it's not a person.
But it still has like some of that person.
Yeah, I guess that's a little bit the thing too, huh? That movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have one watcher. I wonder who it is. Could
Oh.
be anybody.
it is anybody until we check it.
We can't tell unless they say something.
So yeah, so we get like Silk is just like pelted with characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he really
Goes
is.
from like the footman to the to Remora, right?
Yeah,
And then
I mean, outsider too.
Zephias. I'm switching my pronunciation because I like Jordan's better.
What was it?
Zephias.
Yeah,
Zephias
you
seems
brought
vague.
Zephias into the mix.
Yeah.
What is the other?
We were saying
Oh.
Ziphius, and I'm like, nah, yeah, Zephias sounds
Is
weird.
it Ziphius?
I think Zephias
I
makes
like-
more sense now that I
I like
hear it.
Zephias. 'Cause I said it.
Zephias.
'Cause I said it. That's why.
Yeah, like Tobias.
Yeah.
I'm into
okay.
it. It's like a little bit more difficult to say than
Elias.
Ziphius, though. Ziphius. Like,
Ziphius.
Ziphius is just
Well,
like
it's a real
Ziphius.
word. We can find out.
Ziphius. It's a little bit more
Oh
fun.
yeah, what does his name mean?
It's a sword.
Swordfish.
Code word.
Durr.
And then after that is when so there's Zephias, then Mucor, then Hyacinth.
What kind of clothing is a dishabille? Like, that's what Hyacinth is wearing? I can kind of...
what?
A dishabille? Like, I can kind of...
I guess I assumed that it was like a hat thing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It is
Can you say the sentence?
I think it's pronounced dishabille.
the state of being only partly or scantily clothed.
Yeah.
Well, she said she was like getting ready for bed, and then.
Yeah, that's true. So it's like, yeah, okay.
Or
yeah,
negligee.
It's like a yeah.
Oh, yeah,
negligee
nightgown or
garment.
something.
Frippery. What does
Yeah.
frippery
Like,
mean?
it seems like a piece of clothing that's meant to be taken off.
I don't think. Yeah, it's not an article of clothing. It's a state of
It's a
dress.
state,
So
okay.
she's got like gossamer not covering her
gossamer
thing, situation.
dishabille.
Yeah.
Okay, he's using it like a noun.
Yeah,
It
it's
is.
like
Oh my God.
it's like a
It's
situation.
a state. Yeah.
Yeah.
Situation.
Her hair a midnight cloud behind her as she ran. Because she possessed by Kypris? She's Kypris'
That's
creature.
Hyacinth.
I feel like at some point she's also got to be possessed by Thelks.
Yeah.
Because she's tricksy.
Because I feel like hair a midnight cloud is like a more romantic thing I would put in a Kypris camp. But that's also when she first shows up.
Oh, in your character breakdown, you even mentioned Mukor.
I did.
Oh, okay. I missed it.
Yeah.
But I feel like we haven't talked about that. But again, it just like pops up. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
Mukor's here too.
Ziphius.
Siphius.
What,
Siphius?
is that YouTube?
Yeah,
Yeah, but see, those aren't proof. Those aren't checked.
I'm fine with that.
They're just pumped into a like an algorithm.
Yeah.
And nobody proofs them.
People into this?
I don't know. I thought I smelled fruit.
I don't know.
I mean, is there so besides the man who's not there? Is there anything of Mucor
I don't care
that
if
we
you
should
use the
talk
on. I just
about?
thought people might want you.
Mukor's pops.
Yeah. I personally, I don't care.
Mucor's
I don't-
currently being
I
tortured,
know what I personally.
Yeah.
burned.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Saudis,
Yeah. So that's a way to bring Mukor back. Force her to do stuff.
And she says they burned me like they burned me like they burned Musk.
well, but they didn't burn Musk. Musk just got burned.
But that's what she says, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, because she was right there when it happened. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
She
I
was-
forgot about that.
Yeah, she was
Did
present.
she say like they burned Musk, or did she just say just like Musk?
No, she said they burned me. Oh, they burned me like Musk.
Yeah. She's maybe never been burned before. And it brings her back.
Musk is her frame of reference.
Yeah. They make her body override her mind. She loses the freedom of her mind. Which is like the point of torture. Can't.
And also why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Probably because she can't ignore her body or something. It
Yeah.
hurts so much.
Yeah.
I wonder if anything else would work besides burning.
Tickling.
I mean, yeah, pain or yeah.
But they probably just want to do the worst thing because they like to. Because they're bad.
Bad mans.
Bad man's.
It's funny too when Mucor first shows up that Silk is like, Hi, Mucor.
I know. He's
I forget how they.
So
he's
resigned.
like
You again.
Silk nodded wearily.
Yeah.
Hello, Mucor.
Hi. Weird kids here.
But also, I think also, like, it's like everyone but the person he wants to see is showing up.
Mhm.
And also, he's, like, about to pass out all the time.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
So I'm not sure if it's actually about
or
Mucor
beforehand is like
Mucor
there's a girl.
specifically.
Girl
Mucor,
here.
she is the
Oh,
Urkel.
yeah.
Well,
She is. She's Silk's Urkel.
She rolls in.
it
Mighty Ho,
complicates
Winslow.
things. It just makes things. It's just like, oh, and now this.
Yeah, and, like, I
why
was
is
having a
here?
conversation
No.
with this other guy, and now I'm going to have a conversation
He's
with
like, I
you
don't
guys.
even want. I'm not even here for this.
But it's like everyone but the person he wants to
Yeah.
see is rolling up.
But
So
then
he's
she
just
does.
like,
come.
what the fuck?
She comes and there's like that immediate violin like thing that happens in movies. A loud violin swell. And then he passes out.
Yeah.
After he's like, I've gotta go. French one more time.
Those complications of an injury. Did he get shot?
He's
Yeah, he got
spitting
shot
up
in the
blood
lung.
now. That's new. He wasn't spitting up blood before, was he?
Well,
But he wasn't moving
really
around
supposed to
and talking.
be. Yeah.
Wow.
He got into that fight with Tobias and stuff and shit.
I thought this was a bad melon, but it's actually pretty good.
No, it was good.
Mhm.
He got shot in the lung, right? With
Yeah, I
his
think
lung.
so. Yeah.
Mhm.
Pretty big deal.
Yeah, he's taking a beating.
He's probably hungry.
Well,
Oh
He's
no,
always
he
hungry.
ate with a. He is
He's because he's starving.
Yeah. I'm just saying he's always
Yeah.
hungry. I think that's like a constant state.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
You can just assume that he's hungry
Mm-hmm. And tired.
and tired. He like never sleeps.
He's a poor person,
Yes.
and it's constantly shocking because he wasn't raised poor.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good sport about it.
No, yeah.
He really is, but like, yeah. I mean, I guess how many days into this story are we now? Like,
2?
2
Oh.
or 3 days?
That's
There's a
really,
chart.
yeah.
I have a chart.
not-
It's
not
weirdly
many.
short, yeah.
Because what? It starts on Mulp's Day, right? And then there's.
You mean book one, like this whole long song?
Yeah. Yeah, long.
It's gotta be at least a week. Right?
Anytime someone mentions like a distance to the past, it's always weirdly
Yeah,
short.
yeah.
It was like yesterday.
Yeah, like he thinks about Crane dying. It's like,
Yeah.
well, Crane
Like
died.
we,
Like this morning.
Right.
there was no part of the story that
Because he
like,
never
happened off
fucking
screen.
sleeps.
Yeah, yeah. He's just going. Like he's gonna collapse.
He's like stew.
Well, he just did. He's
Right.
like,
Yeah.
dude,
Except with empathy.
slightly less autistic.
Stu never.
Slightly less, which is saying a lot.
Yeah.
So
Here we go.
Slightly less.
I like the
All right.
Oh.
Wait, oh, I have not. I found a timeline. I don't know if it's the right
Oh,
one
okay.
yet. I'm not ready to.
Oh, I really like
Not ready to take the microphone.
Yeah.
when I thought about having to run again, I felt it will pass. He believed it as soon as he had said it, himself persuaded by the effort he had made to compel her belief. Which works because he loves her. Like, he wants to be the thing that he... Like, he really can believe in being the thing that he wants to be for her. I feel like that's a very God of love situation happening right there.
Totally.
Yeah, like he believes that as soon as he said it, because his love for her is like firing. There's like kind of 3 people in the mix with the love. There's Outsider has claimed that he's all about love. Kypris is like in Hyacinth on the reg, and then we're in Thelxupia's shrine here. So there's like 3 chefs making the love soup.
This is where we're at now.
Thelx Day is this is happening on midnight on Thelx Day, and that's the beginning of the 7th day.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and he
The
got
7th day of the 7 days, or the 7th day of the book?
Of the
The
book.
book has
Okay.
been going on 7 days.
and he got 7 cards
Mm-hmm.
from Remora.
Not much happened on Skills Day.
Also, Auk mentions the 7. I feel like 7 came up a couple times in this chapter.
7's a very good number.
The 7 are the children.
When we were talking about AD and BC, I didn't say a thing, but now I'm thinking of it again. Where it's funny that it got changed to like BCE and
before the Common Era.
Yeah,
the Common
CE.
Era.
It's just like gonna slap a new name on it, but it's
still the same
It means
thing.
the same
the
thing.
exact same
Yeah.
thing.
Well, it's syncretized basically.
Yeah.
That's but the other way.
Yeah.
That's
And
how
it's
it
like-
usually goes.
Which I feel like is the same thing we did to the days of the week, where we were like, I don't mean anything. I mean, they're named exactly after the planets, but, you know, we don't believe in planets. Astrology is stupid and for girls. But every day we're going to mention that day that is a planet. Like the weird, like, we're atheists now, but we do the same exact thing and keep invoking the symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's like if you just leave the symbol without nullifying it, it'll live on. But the more you can, like, oh, it's just Monday. Monday is just the worst day of the week. You know what I mean?
We
When
do
it
it
should be
all
the best
over.
day.
It's like, or
Yeah.
like, let's put a street through the middle of Baltimore City and name it after a slave owner, and we'll keep it that way for centuries
Yeah.
afterwards, and not even ever like
It's like-
reconsider that.
Like Gene says, the less, like when you don't admit that a symbol has power over you is when it has the most power over you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thinking ignorance of the symbol means it doesn't have power over you is the worst superstition.
Isn't that the whole deal with like sigil magic or whatever? Is that you're supposed to completely forget what the what the symbol means?
The raised power.
Yeah, like the less you remember about it, the more effective it's going to be.
Yeah, you don't want your spell staying in your head. You want it going out into the world.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also I feel like it's like set it and forget it. You know, like you don't want to be constantly like pining for the thing anyway.
Right.
It's
Watch
like
pot.
yeah.
And we're back to Tinder. You gotta be like Awk and just like let it go, set it free. If it's meant to be, we'll smash later. If I
Yeah.
try to smash, it's definitely not gonna happen.
Yeah, definitely. And you're just gonna be
Smash.
stressed out
Gotta
about it.
smash
That's what they do now.
the
I just
kids.
think it's the funniest.
Kids do.
You smash and the
Everything
juices
that
just
you
go
say,
everywhere.
everything that you say is funny. To me.
I wish I could do something with that, like turn it into money or something.
From what?
It's not funny like that.
Being funny.
Oh, I thought you meant just being funny specifically to Jen.
You gotta start hitting those Magoobies.
Yeah, Jen, you
I
should
don't have
start
enough
paying Ryan.
I don't have enough money for
Now you
that.
gotta start hitting those Magoobies open mics again.
I do want to do Magoobies over mic before I die.
I'll do that with you if you want some time.
Yeah, I
I'd
just
love
gotta
to
make
do
up
stuff
more
like that.
jokes.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
You're gonna do it?
I would do that.
I mean, I could probably.
I would
come up-
go. I would
I
go.
could probably put together 5.
I would go.
I
Solid five.
love
We
the
solid
Magoobies
five.
amateur
Five.
night. It's awesome.
You
I
like
would
what?
go if you
I
guys
love
do it.
Magoobies amateur night. It is so. It is like David Attenborough. Like you get to see species
Yeah.
of creature that you just will not encounter anywhere else,
It's
and it's
interesting.
real. It's like they are the people that are going up there and doing this like half bit almost. It's so weird. There's always like 3 or 4 like really hard, really trying to do this people, and then there's like 8 or 9.
Who just
No
don't
fucking
get it.
yeah, no.
You just get up there
And you're
with no
dying.
plan.
They're
Yeah.
trying.
But then they all have a different bad
Yeah.
like
Yeah, yeah.
approach.
Yeah.
And you get certain people that just don't have anything really and think that kind of giving you their internal monologue they had a couple times over the week is like you're
Right.
just gonna be like, yes, I believe that, and you're
Right.
like,
So
wow,
true.
dude, you need to get out of the house.
What's cool about Magoobies is you can go to open mic night anywhere. There's all sorts of open mic comedy nights, but at
They're
Magoobies there's a big crowd. Like,
Yeah.
so
Well,
you
it is
feel
a-
like
it
you're
is
in
a
this crowd,
comedy
and you're
club.
all watching like someone just, you know. I mean, bombing. Sometimes they bomb, but usually it's just kind of like this is boring.
People-
like,
yeah.
This is not compelling in any
Right.
kind of way. Like
Yeah.
sometimes they bomb, and that's cool. That's like
I
sweet.
think
The abject failure.
Where
yeah, that's
it's
really
just
where-
like, this is fucked.
Right.
That's-
Everyone's
I-
like, boo.
Well, that's the thing. It's like a lot. I remember that time we went. There was just like a lot of like, you know, edgy kind of racisty kind of stuff that just like wasn't landing, wasn't pulled off well. You know, like they weren't doing it.
Yeah, everyone's kind of like neck.
It was yeah. It's like
There was
that's
definitely
kinda
one dude
bombing
had
to
like
me.
a full breakdown and kind of was like, decided he wasn't going to leave the stage until something happened that he liked, and he had no skills or even
No way of
idea
making that
what
happen.
that would
Yeah,
be.
he's Tom Myersing out.
Yeah,
Like
it was.
early Tom Myers just started yelling at the audience.
But it's like that's 1 out of 12. So it's like once he's off, once they succeed in getting him off the stage, it's like, all right, we're going to see a brand new, like neuroses. Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite dude I ever saw in the movies is now very successful, Scott Seiss.
Oh, he's
That's the
the
IKEA guy.
The IKEA guy.
Oh yeah, you talked about
He's
that.
so funny.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
His IKEA thing, like,
Good for him.
he's got a real career now because of those hilarious videos about how much it sucked when he worked at IKEA for a little while.
Yeah.
It'd be funny.
I mean, it's labor solidarity too.
Mhm.
It's just like everyone. It's beyond reproach, you know.
Yeah. And I wish we had our pee stuff in the stream because we could do a callback.
Pee
to the-
stream?
Yeah.
The pee stream.
Yeah, we missed all of our peak urine content from earlier.
Urine.
When the glitch, but
Maybe we started talking about it and YouTube was just like, nope. And that's why the stream
not
went down.
today, Satan.
No, sir.
But Scott Seiss is the reason I wipe myself when I pee now.
Okay.
He had a whole bit about being raised by women. His dad died, I guess, and he had a sister, so he was in a house of women, and he thought every guy wiped their penis after they peed. And after seeing that routine, I was like, oh my god, I need to start wiping my penis. And I do to this day.
It's a good way to do it.
Wow. The transformational comedy. It's
I
really.
sent him a message about a DM about it too, and he never replied.
I think that makes sense. I'm not surprised by that.
I invited him to be on Todashi Show, and I was like, "No kid, no fooling. Your act sort of changed my life. I'm wiping now." No reply.
So his act was pro wiping.
His act was like he was amazed that dudes didn't do it, and then
Yeah.
he was like, "Well, but this is why guys are such babies. They're like literally walking around with pee in their pants."
Yeah.
It was I mean, there's a lot more to the bit, and it was funnier than that. But that was like the gist of it. Was like his like coming to find out that wasn't normal, and being like, "Wow, I'm glad I'm not normal." In that way.
Yeah. That's a good bit. That's a good.
Yeah, it was
little,
really cool.
Little observational. Yeah. Unique thing.
And he had a really good anti-guns thing too. That wasn't preachy. It was just funny. Talking about how like his like stepdad or something was like not into, or was a big gun guy. I think it was a stepdad, and he was talking about how like a lot like gun. They're not like there's so many better ways you can intimidate someone. Like, what about a really long dildo? And he does this whole bit where he's like, and he does a great big like threatening the robber with the big dildo routine. That's really good. Yeah,
He's a mime.
yeah, it was good.
I love mimes.
Scott Seiss. Probably already heard of him if you're on the internet.
Oh,
He's a Magoobies alone.
0 people watching.
Goobies. Yeah, I gotta figure out how to do a stand-up.
There's not much to it.
Incorrect. It's incredibly hard.
I didn't say that it was easy. I just said that there's not much to, like it's uncomplicated.
I think it's
but difficult.
One of the easier performances to do.
Really?
I
always
I've
thought
done it.
that stand-up comedy would be the hardest possible thing to
That's
do.
what, it depends on the individual. Some people say that.
I mean, it's not easy to get up in front of people and just start talking and hope that they like it.
See, that's actually the thing. If I work out a routine, it's going to suck. If I just go out on stage not knowing what I'm going to say, I'm going to at least hold people's attention.
So
It just won't be a bunch of jokes.
You're a
That's
crowd
fine.
worker.
But if it
that's
wasn't
not
complicated, there would be, or why aren't there that many good stand-up comedians?
Why are there so many famous bad stand-up?
I think it's one of those
Clearly
things.
shouldn't be
It's
famous.
it's like chess, where it's like easy to play but hard to master. There's a lot of nuance and strategy.
But I feel like if
that
you
goes into
don't
being
master
good at
it, like there's
you fail.
mastery or nothing
Yeah.
with stand-up comedy. Because this is the thing. If you're like watching music and you're like, this band is kind of okay, you can still sit there and like watch it and like think about. I feel like we've had this conversation before, and think about like, well, I kind of like the bass player,
Yeah, the
or
drummer's
like,
sick. I hate the
or
style.
like,
the drummer's sick.
or like. The structure of the song is interesting or something, and you can kind of like find something to like about it, or you can be like, this sucks, but you're still like there and you're like a participating audience member because you're watching it. But if someone's not funny and they're not making you laugh, it's just not happening. Like The Thing, there's nothing happening.
I think
it's just not. It's a non-thing.
It's the same reason that makes it hard, which is that you're just there by yourself. There's nothing going on except what you have made, you know.
Yeah, there's
created
no
in
distraction.
Where, like, with a band, there's, like, many different things. And also, like, with stand-up comedy, it's just words. And so, like, you could probably tune it out, maybe, but, like, it would kind of be difficult because it's the only thing happening. Like, there's nothing else to
Kind of
get
have
your
to listen
attention.
to
You
it.
can't be, like, you can't choose to just watch the drummer because...
Well, right, but it's not just even just like the complexity of what you're watching. It's like, if it's not funny, it's not funny.
Yeah.
There's like, it's a binary.
But
it's funny or
but
it's
there's
not
nothing
funny.
else. There's nothing else that you can take from it because it's just that one thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it just seems to me that it would be basically the hardest.
I kind of
art
get what
form.
you mean, because in order to get on the stage to be a musician, you have to ostensibly, I mean, in some way, have some sort of grasp of the instrument. And I'm not saying that's 100% the case.
No,
but
yeah.
in general, you can play a few chords, you can do a thing, ideally when you're on stage, pretty well. But
There's
I
a
understand that
presumption of some kind of
you're
skill.
not going up there and you've never held a guitar before and you're on stage and you're like,
Probably not. Yeah.
No, you don't see that.
Yeah.
Is what I mean. And in comedy, sometimes you do see that.
But I think that
my first time,
I think that being good at stand-up is different from just like being funny. And so like a lot of people in their lives are like, people are like,
I'm a funny guy.
You're a funny guy, class clown, whatever. And so then you get the vibe like, I make my friends laugh. I make like my boss laugh.
Well, but I think about this a lot too, because like, so I've had people say to me like, oh, you should do stand-up comedy. I'm like, fuck no. There's no way. Yeah. And the reason is like, I think I have the ability to be funny, but it's entirely situational and I'm responding to my environment. Right. Which is like different completely from like having a set that I'm going to do.
There are elements of that in stand-up. I feel like stand-up comedy
it's funny when people can like react to the audience. And
they're
like quick like that.
I think stand-up comedy
block.
is ultimately like you have to be good at writing. Like it is a writing thing, but you also have to have flexibility. So you got to be able to like revise.
It's a writing thing and it's a delivery thing.
Yeah. Timing,
charisma.
It's like there's so many things that go into it, and then it's just a binary. There's like, it's funny or it's fucking not funny. There's no, you can see a band and you're like, this band is okay. You can't see a comedian that's not funny and be like, they're kind of alright.
Well, you could see one where it's like some of their jokes are good and some aren't.
I guess
it's difficult for a lay person to watch a comedian who's perhaps only failing in this act tonight that succeeded last night and see, like, I can recognize the technique in here and see how that technique is good. But it's easier with a musician to be like, oh, even though this performance isn't landing, I can tell they know what they're doing and they have good technical skills. But you can't tell that a comedian has technical skills when he's failing.
Yeah, it's just... it seems like the hardest thing.
It's like all the things that you're mentioning are all gears, and they're all like touching each other, and if one gear doesn't turn, the whole system doesn't work. Yeah. All the gears have to turn. And
you can go out and play a song right with no heart, and it'd be like an elevator music fine performance. But you can't go out and tell a joke
exactly.
You can
with no heart and
get
all the notes right.
I think you can.
If it's the bit.
I think you go through it. Let's go through the motions. Like if your material is tight and you've done it enough.
I mean, I feel like there's some
can
comedians who end up doing really well, but if you kind of try to break down what they're doing, it's just like they're not even making jokes. It's kind of just this like format in some cases, and there's a certain like if you're at a comedy show, maybe not an open mic, but if you're like at a comedy show, you're sort of primed to like react in certain ways.
Right, you probably
so it's like or if like the tone, I don't know, it's like if the tone works, like if it feels like a joke, then a lot of people are just going to treat it like a joke.
There's also a thing
Do
now.
not feel like that.
There's also
I'm
a
not
thing
saying
now,
that like
people
discerning,
do it,
you know, but I'd see like in a lowest common denominator kind of way. I don't know. They're
Children,
like,
I definitely think that's how children.
but they're also like arena comedians too, like
Arena.
or like Dane Cook or something, where it's like these aren't real, like you're not actually telling a joke. You're just like saying stuff, and everybody thinks that it's great because they're in the situation.
Have you seen the new Jim Brewer comedy? I feel like you would like it.
There's also this thing.
Well, like it in a weird way on YouTube. It's terrible,
Oh no!
but it's amazing at the same time. I mean, he's killing too. The audience is like
they're
eating it up.
it's
but
totally possible for
it's
it to
really
be
bad,
bad,
though,
but
for
for
the
like
strange
audience to
man.
get it.
Well, that's like
Very
a cult
strange.
of personality
I feel
thing
like
too.
getting into it.
But there's a thing too. I was watching. This was a while ago. I was watching some. I don't even remember who the fuck it was. It was some more old school comedian, and they were talking about how it's harder now to become a comedian because they were like in the fucking 70s and 80s or whatever, even the 90s, you'd go out there and you would bomb for a while until you fucking got the shit hammered out. And now everything's on the internet.
Yeah.
And you can't, if you go out there and you bomb, that's fucking it, it's over.
Yeah.
And you can't like test your shit and like work it out anymore because like everything's on YouTube.
Yeah.
So like that's just it. You have to like nail it on the first shot or you're like never gonna do it. And I thought that was interesting. They were like, we would go and you'd spend like a year or whatever in the clubs, like fucking bombing in these shitty clubs. And then like you finally figure out how to like dial it in.
You figure out what.
And then that's how you get good at it. But you're not allowed to bomb anymore. So no one's like able to really like hone their craft because there's like this expectation that you're just good on the first go. Which I thought that was interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Although open mics are probably not really getting on the internet. So,
No.
I think probably if you're like really
If you
bad,
bomb.
someone's
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
That'd be a
if it's terrible.
Then that's weird because now you have people who know who you are, so it's almost like backdoor. Like you could, if you can get good fast, while people
Or like
before
if
they're
you're
totally forgotten about it, like that
Oh,
horrible
you're
thing that
right.
went viral.
Yeah.
If you can like turn it around,
Yeah.
then that. But I mean, if you're that bad, it's
This-
not likely you're going to be able to get
Turn it
good really
around.
fast.
This topic reminds me of something that I've been thinking about lately, which is how like the reason the internet is so bad is because it became normalized and now normies use it. And like before, when it was just weirdos like me who were on the internet, it was fine. But now that it's like every single person has a page and is like looking at stuff and they want to participate, it just like waters it down and makes it so bad.
Well, it's like the beast that devours everything, where like freaks do something for a reason, like, and that has nothing to do with success. You know, like freaks are like, I compulsively need to express myself.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, enough freaks have succeeded by like through no fucking attempt to succeed, just because they're doing a thing that makes sense, and then people are now interested in the success.
Yeah.
And so they're like, I'm going to do this thing because it's a path to success, and that's what you do. There's no like drive to the action could be anything for those people.
I got you.
And it eats up, like everything in culture gets eaten that way.
Well, it's funny because when we were talking about like, oh yeah, I was like the class clown and now I can do stand-up comedy. That was like how I always felt in art school. Was like, it was all art school is entirely people who are like, well, I was the good artist in my
Yeah.
high school.
Yeah, I was
I was
the
the one who
best
was, like,
at making
good
a
at
drawing that
drawing.
looked like a real thing.
Yeah, so like I'm gonna be like a professional artist or something.
Yeah.
Like
And
it's
then
your,
you
it's
just-
your
and
best
then-
subject.
But
so-
it's like you're not like inspired in any way. You're just like,
No.
I'm good at drawing. I'm gonna go to art school and like be an artist. And then you get there and then you have to fucking spend 4 years talking about those people's art.
Yeah, for some reason recently I've kind
It's
of
the
gone down
worst.
this,
Art
like,
school's the worst thing in the
yeah.
world.
I've been going down
I
this
hate
like
it so
YouTube
much.
poll
We
of
should
people
abolish
like
art
Just
school.
don't. You go to
Abolish
school,
art
don't
school.
Go to the classes.
Abolish
Still
art
not take
school.
classes.
absolutely.
Art school is just abolish
The way,
itself.
the way
Yeah, that's true. Arts nothing is doing a better job at abolishing art school than art school.
Yeah, oh my god.
the way you know when the shit's ruined is when people start using the word authentic. Because like the first wave of people that are doing a thing as the end and not the means, there's no question of authenticity. It doesn't like occur to you. But then the second wave of people where it's a means and not an end are competing with each other and with what came before them. So now it suddenly becomes really important to delineate what's authentic and what isn't.
I've gone down this like YouTube rabbit hole recently of like people kind of breaking down these like masterclass videos or like the like Gary Vaynerchuk thing where this sort of motivational speaking thing where it's like somebody has gotten someone has become very successful, like they've made a lot of money, and now the thing that they're doing is trying to get people to pay them so they can tell them here's how you make all this money, but all they can do is because they had no real strategy, like they can just be like, okay, so I posted 4 videos on the internet every day for 7 years, and then it happened, and I made all this money.
Yep.
So here's what you got to do: post 4 videos on the internet every day for as long as it takes. And it's the only way. It's the only way that you can do it. It's like no, it's the way that you worked it out. But also that only worked when like you in 2012 YouTube or
Right.
like early TikTok or whatever. You know, it's like these people who like
different environment.
manage to leverage a platform in its early stages to become very popular, and then they're like, yeah, so here's how you do it. It's like, no, there are millions of people trying this now, and it doesn't work the same way anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of like, since this worked for you, I definitely have to do it a different way.
Yeah.
Right.
You used
Right.
it up.
You
but
used it.
but because they're essentially scamming people, they're trying to get people's money. They can only.
I mean,
they say just do. I've got the secret. I've cracked it. You do exactly what I tell you, and you're gonna be fine.
it's the megachurch.
Yeah,
It's like
true.
I was a poor person and then I started praying and asking people for money. And if you give me your money, then I'll pray for you and ask for money still. And eventually I'll have all the money, and you will too.
somehow.
Because you're a part of my church.
You will too, and you'll give it to me.
Yeah.
The squares need a formula. They're convinced that if there's like that anyone can do a recipe and come out with the right cake at the end, and which is just wrong when you're not talking about a cake, or like an inanimate object. You're talking about changing your life. Like that's like, you know, I guess normies or squares or whatever. Like that's a part of that mentality. Is like, if I knew the list of things, I would do the list of things and I would get the result. Like no, just go ahead and try. It won't work.
Yeah, culture's not culture's not an algorithm. Like you can't there's no way to game it.
That is the like pervasive philosophy of
Or like
materialist
or
culture.
Actually, it is,
I guess
and
it
you
is,
can, but you have to be a rich person
Right.
with
Well,
you have to already have power to be able to like game the system.
Yeah.
You can't like pull yourself up by your fucking
and
online bootstraps.
And part of the deal with algorithms is that most of the time we don't actually know how they work. That's
No,
like algorithms are they call it the black box. Like it's this thing, you know, that like inputs come in and outputs come out, but we don't actually know.
Wait, do the makers of the algorithm know?
I don't think so.
No,
Oh,
that's
wow.
no, yeah. Like algorithms are enormously
It's the
complex.
devil.
That's why you talk about tweaking. They're constantly
Well,
tweaking an algorithm.
I was listening.
It's the devil.
I was listening to a thing recently where you guys know that guy Douglas Rushkoff.
No.
Oh, he's
Yes.
cool. He's like a media.
That sounds
I'm
familiar.
gonna
Does
put
he
him in
write
my
a
phone
famous
so I
book?
remember.
He has like a fuck ton of books.
Okay.
He's
Yeah,
cool.
I've heard that
I
name,
think
but
he's
not in a
pretty
while.
cool actually. He's kind of like, he kind of is like he's a media critic kind of and like a tech guy. He's like
I've
been
never seen any of these
he's
books.
been
That's
in.
so interesting.
He was like an early internet guy, and then he's been kind of like a tech theorist, sort of like a media theorist ever since like the 90s.
Like
And-
Shingy?
Huh?
Like Chingy?
Shingy?
Shingy.
Not
I don't know
Shingy.
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 I don't know Shingy.
Oh.
He was the
He's like a net
the
guru.
digital prophet for AOL or something.
Oh.
Anyway, he's cool, but I was listening. I guess he just put a new book out, and I was listening to on podcast an interview with him, and I think you guys would like his takes on things. He's pretty cool, and he has like a spiritual way of thinking about things that's interesting. But he was saying he was equating out the algorithm with demons.
Ooh.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, totally. Like
And like if you're like these tech guys, you're like aligning yourself with these demons, but it's like you're not controlling them.
Well, and so much of is how social media works, like Twitter, like YouTube in particular. You hear a lot of people are like, well, the algorithm likes this, so like right now it's like it likes these 20-minute videos on like a long topic or something, but at earlier points it's like, well, it likes 5-minute videos that are funny or that kind of thing. So you have this whole like cottage industry of people who are just trying to they're just trying to feed stuff into the algorithm to get these hits, and then if something works, sure. It's like it's like when something works, then it's like, okay, this is it, and then they jump all over it. But then
It likes hooves. Cut off some hooves.
But then it
Virgin
doesn't.
kids, virgin kids.
But it doesn't always work. Like it's not something that's going to work forever.
Is there one algorithm, or does everyone have their own algorithm?
I mean,
There's different ones.
yeah, there are lots of different algorithms, and they evolve, and a lot of them use like machine learning, AI stuff. So like that's the algorithms are actually changing themselves,
Right.
in ways that the people who develop them aren't really a party to. So
That's
it's
their
crazier
very
than I thought.
demons.
Yeah.
This is fucked out.
yeah, no, it's
I
like
didn't know
it's
that.
a really complex thing. But that's like kind of what you said. Like culture kind of is an algorithm in that like you don't know how it's going, like how things are going to work. You don't like. There's not a set of inputs that you can provide to culture to output
Right.
success.
My mind
There is a
blown.
math equation. It's only gods can understand it.
Sure.
But I mean, my point was
It's
that
fun.
there are like certain arenas in which, and it's not like foolproof, like point A, point B, point C, kind of like foolproof equations, but there are like equations that work, which is like how you get pop hits on the radio and shit.
For a while. And then nobody knows when they stop. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yes,
Beyonce's
exactly.
having that happen to her
It's
right
like
now.
it changes and it moves. Well, it's because she's operating on like old
Yeah.
software or whatever.
She was the king for so long that like it was just assumed that the power was in her, but
Right.
the power wasn't in her. She was an avatar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now we've like suddenly, to everyone's surprise, I feel like everyone's like, "Whoa, Beyonce's mortal now. That's strange."
She had Kypris, but now we're on Philexivia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Her god is not hidden.
Oh, wow.
But my point is, like, there are points in which you can, like, reach in and, like,
Yeah.
twist the algorithm or, like, you know, like, crank out a fuck ton of pop hits or whatever. But you have to be rich. Like, you have to
Yeah.
already have
You got
a lot of power to do that. If you're coming from the ground up,
You have to have the
you
bandwidth.
can't do it in that way.
You have to have the bandwidth to hit that algorithm with as much input
Resources.
as possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's not all gonna, it's not all gonna hit.
Right.
So-
It's like
Exactly,
Woody Allen has
exactly.
only made good movies because he's able to make absolute shit movies as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he has the ability to fail and have it not hurt him, so he can
Right, you
fail,
have to
fail,
bomb
fail.
in order to become good.
Yeah.
Or, you know, whatever, but...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, God, you remember how Lil Wayne was, like, pushing Drake forever and it just wasn't working? And then finally he just kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it, and now Drake's, like, the biggest hit in the whole world. But, like, nobody wanted Drake.
No.
When Drake started, everyone was like, Wayne, no.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
I think part of that's how.
I mean,
how
it's not
But he
Wait.
just was like persistent.
yeah. Well, I
And
think
now
that-
Drake is the
like-
Does he
fucking.
like have
Well, by-
stock in
New
Drake or
Beyonce
something?
or
Does he like make money off of Drake?
Yeah, he's
Wow.
signed.
I mean, he's
Drake.
signed.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
well, by making
He
Drake,
kind of invented Drake.
it's like
Okay.
by making Drake
cool.
ubiquitous, there's a certain way. This happens in pro wrestling a lot too. Is that they'll like when you're positioning somebody as like this next big thing, trying to get them over with the audience. If the existing audience experiences that as it's something being pushed on you that you're not into.
Right, you have to wait till the audience turns over enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like Drake, I feel like really caught on with younger people because there was this like ubiquity of Drake, where like these like whatever older people who take hip hop seriously or something are like this is bullshit, but then young kids are like, oh well, this is like what there is. I mean, it happened with like pop punk or
Well, and this is
happens
the
with-
opposite of this is what's the
Roman
opposite of
Reigns,
this is
you know,
what's
it's-
happening with Beyonce. Is that Beyonce is young people know of her as like a cultural icon, but they don't know her fucking music because it's been too long or whatever. And
Right.
she said now she's like putting records out, and everyone's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's been a
But
long
it-
time
you know,
since her last
she's
big,
her old people.
Yeah,
big
like
record,
yeah,
so.
she's not. Kids know who she is, but they don't aren't like Beyonce fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not far enough. They're not distant enough from it for
So
it
to be like wrenched.
Yeah,
For-
out of
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Like Kate Bush. She's not Kate Bush.
Yeah, exactly. She's not.
Yeah,
Kate
you
Bush.
can't. Yeah, she's like in the uncanny valley or whatever. It's like you can't.
Yeah, Kate Bush is from another world at this point that's like
Yeah.
unrecognizable to
Yeah.
kids, whereas like Beyonce's clearly from the world that adults.
She's your fucking
from.
parents' music or whatever.
Yes.
Mm.
Totally.
And it was gonna like at some point it was gonna happen, and I think it was just like an exciting moment where everyone's like, "Whoa, oh wow,
It's cool.
A Titan has like stumbling." Wow.
Wait, so what is going on?
I thought people
Beyonce.
liked that album.
Old people like it.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
not.
The kids aren't into
Yeah,
it.
it's not like.
So is she not selling as much or something, or what's going on? What's
Yeah,
the, is
It's,
that
I
it?
think it's like kind of just like kind of a lukewarm response.
Oh,
Yeah.
she got critiqued for using the
She had
word.
two
Yeah.
walkbacks
What
so
was
far.
the word? It
Spaz.
was spaz.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
right.
happened with Lizzo too.
Okay, yeah,
Close.
yeah, yeah.
Right, like 2 weeks before or something, and then
Yeah.
and people were like, "I can't believe Beyonce would do that after what happened to Lizzo." Like Beyonce's not paying attention to Lizzo. Like, relax.
It's weird they're both.
Wait,
using
what
the
happened to
word, too.
Lizzo?
Like it's such a random.
She used the word
spaz.
spaz. Well, I was told that it's like
Yeah, I guess spaz.
more used in different
In Australia and UK,
you know
it means like a
subcultures.
it means like a
Okay.
a person with like cerebral palsy.
Right, that's what
Yeah.
that's what it kind of references here too. Like, don't be such a spaz. Like, it's
Well,
kinda
here
like,
it's like I feel like it's like youth slang for like I'm spazzing out, like
Right.
I'm going crazy. But over there, it's like a spastic is that person.
It's
in a
more. It's
wheelchair.
like
Yeah.
it's like retarded or something.
Yeah.
Like you
Right.
can't.
It's more of a
Right, right.
slur.
Yeah.
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 It's insensitive at best.
Yeah.
What was I think was it Monica Lewinsky the second one?
Oh well,
oh
Khalees.
yeah.
Khalees,
oh,
yeah.
Khalees.
Oh.
So
She like
Khalees
sampled
did-
Milkshake.
She sampled or like interpolated Milkshake, and then Khalees was like, would have been cool if she would have asked me about it, but of course she didn't because she's a dick and hangs out with dicks like Pharrell.
Yeah,
Well,
it was one of those things where it was legal because for like
Yeah, it
Khalees
goes-
wasn't actually an attributed songwriter on that song. She was just the performer, but like Pharrell and the Neptunes or whatever, had they had all of
Rights
this.
to
They had all the rights to it, so they're making the song Beyonce. They're like, yeah, whatever, we'll just use this song that we have the rights to.
Yeah, I'm going to use my stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But it gets very complicated when that that was not released as a Neptune's song, so.
I think there was a Monica reference.
There was
Yeah.
some
Monica
Monica.
Lewinsky.
She inserted herself into the drama.
She
after
definitely
it was all
did.
done.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's.
She's
But
a-
Monica Lewinsky was like, I would really feel better if you took my name out of your song or something. I don't know if she did.
I think that's
but
a
I heard
legit
it.
point. I'm
Yeah, I
pro.
think it's like an
Monica
old Not This
Lewinsky's point.
Album song that Monica Lewinsky maybe
Oh,
got
really?
mentioned on. Yeah, so it was kind of like the chorus is out of
Yeah, I was
the
gonna
band.
say,
so
why
mean.
is somebody referencing Monica Lewinsky anyway? That's another.
Oh yeah, that's
Lewinsky
old.
is
Yeah, that's
a
an old
popular-
Beyonce
The kids
song.
will not
No,
understand.
Yeah.
She's been popping up
But
a
if-
bunch in the past.
If it's
couple of years.
old,
For that movie.
if it's old, that makes more sense. Because I was just like,
that movie was a
Beyonce,
part of it.
get another
Yeah.
songwriter. What is it?
Probably
I think
like a
she's trying
10 or
to do
15-year-old
Okay.
song.
Okay. I don't follow Beyonce. I don't really know anything about her.
I just want to say just a funny thing about Beyonce, which is that it's not even about Beyonce, but it's that when I worked at Bonsai, this dude that I worked with told me that, Jeff Graham, I was working with Jeff Graham, and he told our other work friend that he was sad that he couldn't that Cricket really wanted to see Beyonce, and he was sad that he couldn't afford tickets to take her for her birthday or something. And our other work friend was like, why don't you just stomp around your apartment in your underwear and yell at her? I just thought that was funny.
Beyonce too.
He's also the same person who told me that he thought the sound of Beyonce's voice was like being slapped with a cold, wet fish.
She can at least.
Damn, that's harsh.
A lot of the singers right now can't really sing that well, I think.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to have the chops anymore.
It's sad. I think it's sad.
I think Beyonce has the chops,
exactly.
but I also
that's what
don't
I'm
really
saying.
like her singing voice.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying is that like at least she can sing.
Yeah.
I didn't actually say the whole thing that I was thinking, but like But a lot of those like mid-tier shitty singers have some like pretty good songs though. Pop songs. I mean.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
they're okay. In a lot of cases, their vocal ability is not
relevant.
What
it's
makes
the least
song.
important thing. Yeah.
It's the Nirvanification. Like, I feel like the way that we've been moving with music is like everybody is discarding virtuosity, and that like having practiced at your instrument and gotten really good, like Jimi Hendrix, is not relevant anymore. Now it's like you're a special person whose specialness goes on the stage and everyone recognizes the specialness. And that virtuosity gets in the way of that.
I think all the virtuosity happens on the production side now.
Mm-hmm.
This coworker is also the same person who has a real chip on his shoulder about I don't know.
About Beyonce?
No, about Nirvana. Because he's like Gen X.
That seems like a really happy person.
He's interesting. He's an interesting character. But he was like, I was a fucking weirdo. And then there was a point when Nirvana happened. Like, I was just like a punk weirdo that everyone hated. And then there was a point where Nirvana happened, and then all the, like, jocks wanted to be my friend.
Yeah, that
And it was like, it was fucking weird.
Yeah, like 1994, 95.
Yeah.
I feel like there was, I remember that.
It's not Nirvana's fault.
No, it's not like...
It's a little bit.
But for him, it's like a very, like, hinge point of history moment.
Right.
Because I feel like it was super vivid, because it was when he was in a coma, you could get bullied for having a Nirvana shirt. And when after he killed himself, that was when you would get, like, when jocks would want to be your friend. Like,
I don't recall any of this.
It was before my...
Yeah, I was not.
We were.
This is us.
I was like 11 or 12.
But
when
I'm
Nirvana
thinking that
hit
this
big.
guy was probably.
He was like
15
in
or
high
16.
school. Yeah.
Because 11 and 12-year-olds weren't. I don't think were really like punks. I mean, maybe they were like
Right.
skaters. You know what I mean?
Man, I was listening to Nirvana this week. I love Nirvana. I remember like being in a gym, hearing "Smells Like Teen Spirit" come on the speakers on like a big sound system for the first time. And it sounded like a riot. Like I just like as a kid, I was just like, holy fuck, what am I listening to right now? Like I'll never forget
In
hearing
a
that song
gym.
the first time. Yeah, it was at like a dance
It's
or
just
something.
funny.
It was at a like they had like a big
Yeah, like
sound
the
system
music
and
videos.
school gym.
Yeah, school
Like
gym.
there was
That's
some kind
classic.
of dance. Yeah, and for some reason
Planet
the
Fitness.
DJ is playing this kid for like these 10 or 11-year-olds, however old.
I remember
it rocked.
When Nevermind came out, I was like 4 or something. But I remember later on when I was probably in elementary school, my brother had the CD and he put it on, and I remember my sister and I both like losing our minds.
Yeah.
We're like, what is this?
Yeah.
I think I had maybe experienced it. Maybe my first experience of Nirvana was actually through a Bill Nye the Science Guy parody video, because there are those music
Not Weird Al.
parodies. No.
Weird Al one was good.
Yeah, it's good.
No, I think
Brought
it
Weird Al
was from
back.
Bill Nye.
Yeah.
What is that?
Weird Al had been laying fallow for like many years, and then
Fallow.
when Nirvana came, it brought Weird Al screaming back into pop culture
Yeah.
with his accordion.
Weird Al's the best.
Yeah, what a great guy.
Yeah.
You just
Best show I've seen in my life.
National treasure.
Yeah.
Most expensive show I've ever seen. And
Really?
Totally. Well, it was $60.
Oh, I was about to say, it didn't seem like Weird Al would really try to gouge you, but
No, it was appropriately priced. I just don't go to
yeah,
expensive shows.
yeah, we need
Like real shows.
Yeah.
Like big
concerts is what they call them.
Concerts.
Right.
Yeah, concerts.
I love it whenever I'm gonna play a show, or like whenever someone in my family refers to shows as concerts. I always think it's so funny. You guys
Right.
playing a concert?
Well, but inverse is that like
Sure.
Christian fucking pulled that out. We were playing in DC. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. It was like Pride. We were down there and it was Pride and it was fucking insane. There were people this is after the show was over. There were people just like all up in the streets. And there were all these cops, and they were, like, being super militant about, like, parking and stuff. And we just had to load all our shit out. And so Christian, like, double parks. And he, like, has something with the cop, like, to try to talk him into, like, letting us load or whatever. But he just, like, did his full, like, I have an Australian accent, like...
We're playing a concert.
He just said, we just played a music concert. And we have to, like... And he, like, just did this thing. He just, like, schmoozed this cop in this way
I feel
that
like
I was, like, amazed by.
I feel like it's very easy to get schmoozed by Christian.
Yeah, he turned it on for him.
He's an enchanting boy.
It worked. He schmoozed him.
That's funny.
And then he said... He told the cop it would only be 5 minutes, which is not true. And then there was a point where the cop was kind of like hassling him again when we weren't like, you know, we were like still doing it. And he was like, listen, I know I violated your trust. Like he was just going like fully.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
It was so funny to me. I just was like loading up.
Just get the drums
Just
in.
Eddie Haskell shit.
It was fucking funny.
That's great.
It was so funny. It worked.
Cool.
We got the
Music
fuck out of
concert.
there.
Yeah, that happens
We
a lot
just
with
played a
theater,
music
too. You tell
concert.
someone you do theater, they're like, "Oh, where? Center stage? Like, where do you do theater?"
Yeah.
The Everyman. The Everyman's well.
You ever been in a basement?
I am.
That's where.
Can we do it at your house?
Oh hey!
How
I
big
think
is
you
your
have a
basement?
nice basement, right?
Funny you should ask. What part of town do you live in?
Speaking of which, Ami and Zach just bought this new house, and it's fucking crazy.
Where
it's
is
in
it?
Waverly, and it's like it has a half-acre yard. It's like and a giant garage, and I keep telling them they have to like have shows there.
Somebody needs to start having some fucking shows at their house. Good lord, it's so hard to book anything.
Their garage is like the size of my house. It's
Well, they owe it to everybody.
I mean, I told them, and they also have a giant basement, and I told them they should have a festival.
They got a half acre. Fuck
I don't
yeah.
even like
How
festivals.
many houses do they have now?
Well, they're on this like thing, this kind of leapfrog thing where they always have like, it's like they always have two and then they get a third one and then they sell the last one, so then they have two again. They're just like doing this funny thing.
Weirdos. Alright.
Yeah, they're like
So-
they're
so
like
much-
weird
so much
real
better.
estate
Three
people.
card Monty with
No,
houses.
totally, they are the shell game.
Yeah.
But they finally like swapped it up, and now they have this like insano house,
Yeah.
and I think they'll stay there.
It's a system to game, but it's so much work. Like,
Yeah.
It's
getting a house
totally
and
a lot.
moving.
It's a lot of work, and they're all within
Okay.
like 3 blocks of each other. You know,
Oh
they're
my
all
God.
like in
Yeah.
this one little area.
Well,
That makes it more manageable.
Yeah, it's really funny. Though.
It is a lot easier to buy a house when you already have a house.
Yes,
Yeah.
you just leverage credit. That's what rich people do.
It's fucking garbage.
But anyway.
Whatever.
Well, soon you won't be able to buy any because private equity will own all the houses.
Yeah,
They're on their way.
I mean, in a way,
Gen Z will not be homeowners. They will only be renters.
yeah.
That's the plan. Because
There'll be wanderers
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the desert.
van life.
Yeah, there might. Well, who knows?
They'll be
Who knows
fucking
what we'll
renting
find out.
vans.
Yeah.
It's not that
Zip
far off.
car.
Not Gen Z, but
They'll be reconstructing.
our friends' kids are gonna have a weird time that we can't predict.
Definitely.
They're going to be the new flower children that take off their shoes and turn off the internet.
Well, the internet might be gone by then.
Yeah.
Without them even ever seeing it, besides
riddance.
on their parents' phones.
I'm so excited. There's going to be, at some point, there's going to be a new hippies and their kids that are just like, the internet isn't fun, so no. And then, and then adults are just going to be like, you can't know the internet. No, you can't know.
Well, we're already getting to the point, like, my brother's kids, they all just had COVID recently, and my brother's youngest kid, who's like, she's not super young, she's like 9. She, you know, they were like, okay, well, you have COVID, you can just like watch as much TV or whatever as you want, stare at the iPad as long as you want, because like you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And there was one point where she said, like, I need you to limit my screen time tomorrow because it's getting in the way of like these other things I want to do.
Limit your own screen time. I mean, she's young, so she doesn't realize that she can.
But she's like, don't
It's
let
hard.
me do this all day.
Yeah.
It is hard.
Well, yeah, you get on there and then you
Actually,
get glued in.
that's appropriate. She's young enough that that it's not crazy for her to ask somebody to regulate her.
Yeah.
Like,
she was just like, please don't let me have.
Like, if I were-
because usually it's limited.
if I were like, Jen, don't let me use my phone tomorrow, you'd be like, fuck you, don't use it.
No, I'd be like, give me your phone.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I'd be like, I'll put it in a box.
I'll help.
I'll put it in a shoebox
But you know
and
what
you come back when you
know what
want
I
it.
mean.
It's like
You should be
AA.
open.
You know, if you have
Yeah, well,
people-
you should be, but none of us are. Like, you always, I look at my phone way more than I want to.
Yep.
Yeah, it's garbage.
It's rough.
I wish
But
I
it's
could-
getting...
He's like,
it's-
yeah, this sucks.
It's getting less and less fun, so I
just-
feel like at a certain
Yeah.
point it's going to hit that thing where it's just like, I'm not going to pull it out because I know it's not. There's no
tedious.
fun. There's no fun
Yeah.
to be had there.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's kind of, it'll be the reverse of how like our generation was like, oh, here's like a new iteration of consciousness that we can do, and now so much of our like conscious energy has shifted into that mode that now the kids are gonna be like, oh man, I'm doing this new thing. It's called living my life.
Yeah.
Physically living my life.
Well, the people, like how I was talking about earlier with, like, normies using it, like, they're just gonna make it so lame that,
Yeah.
like, because,
Yeah.
like, you know how kids don't look at Facebook and they don't look at Instagram. Instagram's for old people now, and
Yeah.
we're the old
I do.
people.
I just think even to like what the internet was like when I was in high school. I'm like, man, it was so much cooler.
It was.
Oh, yeah.
It was so much
a lot
like
better.
weirder and scrappier, and
Yeah.
like there was so much like just out there shit.
And and people weren't making money off of
Yeah.
posting selfies.
It was funny because the beginning, before AOL, nobody used their real name. It wasn't even like a fucking thought to use your
Yeah.
real name.
Yeah.
Never.
And now we've gotten to the point where you're forced to use
You're
your real name, or
required
you're
to
not
use your
allowed
real
to
name.
like post. And it's so clear what is better. It's like there was a wonderland you could go to, and then there now like when I started going on the modem, it was like there were two worlds. There was this world and this
Yeah.
totally different world, and that was great. I could get
It's
some
better.
stuff here and better stuff here.
But-
Like,
And I feel like, sure, there was probably, like, there were, like, flame wars and stuff, but, like, when it was anonymous, people weren't as insane and fucked up to each other, at least in my experience.
Yeah.
Not that it was a wonderland where everyone was, like, super nice to each other.
I think
But
that
it
was
wasn't-
easier to distance yourself from the flame
Oh,
because
probably.
it wasn't your name.
Probably. That could be
yeah, it was like you're forced to play a character when you don't use your real name. I was in a group of insane bullies on dial-up modem, but it was like a thing where it was like a weird gang that all the victims eventually kind of got jumped into.
That's awesome.
Like they wouldn't necessarily become bullies, but they would get acclimated to the characters, and then like you get like
yeah, like playing you're both playing both the drama. You're doing
Yeah.
the whole
like-
I totally
like-
understand what you mean.
Yeah, like the victims would become either like straight men, or they would become like some kind of weird audience for the next person to get it.
Yeah, because it was just fun. People are just there to post and be silly.
Yeah.
Have you guys watched The Most Hated Man on the Internet?
No.
It's a documentary about
It's a revenge porn guy.
yeah.
It looks scary.
It sounds like the same story you're telling, except that it's a bad thing instead of a good thing.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I wish I for a while I had this thing because the gang was called the Society, And I had for a while.
We do live in a society.
Yeah, there was a.
I think Joker said that.
Yeah,
there was
famously.
a
No,
text
George
file.
Costanza said it.
I had this text file for a while that was the 666 commandments of the society, and like the first like 13 were like commandments, but then everything after that was just like a piece of a chat or a piece of a post that was funny that got copied into the text until there was 666.
Oh my goodness, you got it to 666.
Yeah, but it was the kind of stuff that would like everybody involved would lose their job if it were able to come out now, because it was like in just constant escalation into like every form of offensive like speech you could ever possibly do.
Sure.
And then we've done all the like weird bestiality, racist, like obscenities. Where do we go now? And just continuing like getting more and more absurd.
You didn't turn around and get into like bunnies and puppy dogs and shit.
No, I think it just got like to where it just didn't make any sense anymore. Where
That's
it was like nonsense and might not even be obscene, but because it was coming from like a character who was just relentlessly obscene, you'd be looking for the obscenity in it, and it like could become this weird like illusion where you're like, that's dirty, I don't know why.
I gotcha.
But it was there was definitely flaming, but it was I feel like it was a game. It was like the kids, they want it to be a game and then have to pound it so hard that it's definitely not.
Yep.
But then like back then it was like weird, you went to a weird world and everybody's in a costume and those people are trying to make everyone laugh by being absolutely insane. Sometimes it works.
Yeah, well, there was a bigger culture around like, if you don't like this, just go away and go somewhere else and don't look at this.
The kids in my high school seem like Discord is their thing. Like they don't really do Instagram very much. Their Instagrams are all like barely updated, but they're all talk about Discord. And I started to realize Discord is a lot like the bulletin boards that you call an modem. Because you don't have to use your real name. You have chat and posts that kind of stick around, but there's not like, it's not like you're going like Wikipedia or something where you're looking shit up. Like it's
That's
sort
cool.
of there.
Yeah, that's the internet that I'm on. When I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking at Wikipedia.
Yeah. And then eBay to see how much those books cost.
Yeah, I guess the Discord's a little more like IRC or something.
Yeah.
It's like totally like where it's like a forum, but it's not. It's like a loosey-goosey forum
That's great.
with a little community involved. You have to dial in to get there. You don't like strangers.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, thanks.
Just picked it up.
Which one is that?
I thought you
Exodus.
said you wanted it.
Oh. Well, we haven't talked about the book for 30 minutes.
We finished the chapter.
We did
Yeah.
finish the chapter.
Holy shit.
I wonder how much we
I
did.
kind of need to go.
All right, well, goodbye, Internet.
I have to
We love
sleep.
you.
We'll miss you so much.
We have to sleep.